Hello there. My name is Jacob Matthew Crawford. I'm a reviewer of movies and occasionally other stuff here on YouTube, mostly movies, and this is a different type of review. It's not part of my regular review show. There's no special credit sequence, and I'm going to try to do not that much editing here. I just want to do a regular talk about the movie right after I saw it in the theater review, and at this point I'm probably the 1000th or so person to put a video review of the new It movie on YouTube, but better late than never. And so I just saw the new version of It, and I feel a little bit like the odd man out because the critical reception for this movie has been, for the most part, pretty positive and very praising. And I didn't hate it, but I wouldn't say I overwhelmingly liked it either. And I'm going to try to explain without sounding like the most boring shit you've ever seen, but I didn't watch the trailers when they first came out online. I watched them a few weeks ago, and they looked like trailers for a kinda generic horror film, or just generic horror movie trailers that we've been getting over the past few years. And that didn't put me in a bad place. I didn't know what to expect. Like everybody else, I was kind of not sure about the new Pennywise design, the new clown. Like a lot of people, I thought it seemed like they were spoiling all the possible mystery to the character by showing how he'd look and how it would look, and wasn't exactly sure what to think because everybody was saying this is what it's going to look like from the get-go. And now I've seen it, my thoughts are, I don't think it's a bad movie, but it's got a lot of problems for me personally. For everybody else, they seem to be enjoying it very much, and everybody who's enjoyed it, I'm glad you had a good time. Just wasn't really for me. I went to this, first time I've been to the movie theater in a while. I love movies. I love seeing them on the big screen, but I get a lot of anxiety usually when it comes to going out to the theater. But for this, I decided I'm gonna try to get out a little bit more, and I thought the new It movie was a good place to start. It's interesting. There's a lot of good parts to this. There's a lot of parts I thought were well done and I thought were a lot of fun to watch, but then there's some other parts that just seem kind of like odd choices to go with. This movie has some weird shifts in tone. Like, it's not going for straight up trying to make you shiver or jump all the time 100%. There's some weird moments where they kind of go into almost feel-good tone, and there's some scenes where we get some songs on the soundtrack that don't exactly create a chilling mood. Maybe that was the intent, and maybe it works for others. I had a hard time getting into it, and it felt like it was not focusing enough on which tone it should go in. Is it trying to scare me? Is it trying to be kind of feel good? I feel like it should have focused more on the horror element. I just couldn't get into the different shifts in tone, and also the editing was a little strange at times. I'm reading from notes that I made. I thought the editing was... It felt a little too action movie-ish, particularly during the rock fight between the kids and the bullies. Especially this moment where we get a slow motion shot on Belch, and he just goes, "Fuck you." That just seemed a bit too ridiculous for me. At first I thought it was just starting off a little clunky, and then I would get into it more as it went on, and there were times where I did feel like I was getting into it, but then it would go kind of back to the clunky style and way it was unfolding, and it's hard to say exactly because I just saw it and I don't usually review something right after I see it, so like I said, this is kind of a new thing, doing a fresh vlog review. But I'm trying, and before I go on too much longer, story and characters. I thought the story for this movie was very similar, very close to the first half of the miniseries and the book. But I also noticed that it kind of feels like they made this movie so that in the chance that we don't get a part 2, because this book covers the first half, which is all about the kids, and I read that if it's successful, they will make a sequel that will continue the second half of the book with them as adults. And I get the feeling this movie was made, it looks like it was made to be its own standalone film in case that sequel never gets made. But given how successful this movie has been, I think it will get its sequel, and hopefully I'll connect more of that one than this one. I had a really hard time getting into this, and I'm probably gonna keep repeating. I'm gonna try not to, but I'm probably gonna anyway, because it happens. The story is pretty much just like the first half was before, and like I said, at times it works, other times it doesn't, and combining the parts that work and the parts that don't work together just create a very long movie that I'm just not sure what to think about, but I'll give it this. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes, but this movie goes right by. It's very uneven and a bit of a head scratcher as far as some of the decisions they went with, but it goes by pretty fast. It kind of reminds me of Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, which was a huge clusterfuck, but it went just by and it kept me interested. I kind of see these two movies being similar in that regard, although this movie is not nearly as big of a fuck up as Batman vs. Superman. That's the only thing I can really compare it to. And as for the characters in it are all kids, the main ones, a group of 7 who later... Actually, I don't think they ever called them in this movie the Lucky 7. They might have. I can't remember at the moment. The Lucky 7 is what they're referred to as in the book and in the miniseries. And these are kid actors, so the limit of shit you can give them is limited because they're doing the best they can, and some of these kids really do a very credible job. The one that sticks out to me the most is Finn Wolfhard as Richie Tozer. It's funny because Richie Tozer was my favorite character in both the miniseries and this remake. Just a fun, smart-ass character who is kind of the asshole that doesn't realize he's being an asshole and says things and jokes about shit that usually are at the worst possible time. Which I guess I kind of relate to that, because I'm an asshole that can make jokes at the wrong time with a lot of people and just lead to awkward moments where you're like, what? And everybody just tries to either rub it off or they just look uncomfortable. Jaden Lieberher, not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but he plays Bill Denbrough, the stuttering leader of the Losers Club. Yeah, I think they just call themselves the Losers Club instead of the Lucky Seven in this movie. Bill is the older brother of the first victim we see in the film, his little brother Georgie. And the opening scene of Georgie playing with a paper boat that his older brother made for him, and the boat going down a drain. It's pretty similar to the scene in the original miniseries, and this is a scene that a lot of people are just very not sure what to make of, and I'm with a lot of them. When the clown appears, when Pennywise appears, and just looks that creepy, fucked up monster look that they gave him from the get-go, I'm with everybody. Why doesn't this kid just fucking bolt? Why is he standing there and just continuing to talk to this fucking thing? I don't get it. And Bill Skarsgård, I suck at pronouncing foreign names, as Pennywise the Dancing Clown, aka It. I think this guy maybe he could be better in the sequel, but here I thought he was pretty bad, but I don't entirely blame him. It seems like he wasn't given a ton to work with. Like, his scenes are very brief, and this Pennywise left no impact on me. I really did not find him that scary, except for the scenes where he grows like 30 or 40 layers of sharp teeth. Those moments I thought were pretty excellent, and the scene where the kids are looking at pictures with a projector and the clown jumps through, kind of a updated version of the photo album scene from the book and the miniseries. That really made me go, whoa! There actually were a few great jump scares in this, and the best scene in this whole film is the scene where Beverly, played by, Sophia Lillis, is at her sink and she hears voices in it, and when looking in, hair, like she cut her hair earlier in the film, and the hair that washed down the drain shoots out, grabs her, and pulls her face really close to the drain, and then all of a sudden we get a fucking geyser of blood shooting out. I thought that was the greatest fucking scene in this movie. It reminded me of the blood geyser scene in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I thought that was a great scene in this movie, and it just raised my spirits so much after being so not sure what to feel about everything going on. I love that. And then we get the scene where the kids come to her house, all the boys come to her house, and she shows them the bathroom, which is covered in head to fucking toe in blood, and they clean it up, which was also in the miniseries, and I know I keep going back to the miniseries, which I also am very mixed on, but there are a few things in the miniseries that I think were done a little better. One of them was having the kid scene where the kids clean up the blood take place much later in the story as a flashback from when they're adults. Here it happens almost right away after after the geyser scene, and when they clean it up, it just seemed too soon almost. And when they clean it up, we get a song playing. And the song is like a real hippie, dippy, not 60s sounding, but it has kind of a almost hippie-ish sound to it. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, but I just saw it and I'm a little, it's hot out, I'm a little fuzzy. But the song did not match what was going on. Maybe this was meant to be a kind of stylized scene, but it just felt like it didn't match the actual horrifying moment that we saw before. And after they've cleaned up all this blood that coated the entire bathroom from top to bottom, the kids just kind of move on, and the way they acted, I just sat there watching them talk and with each other so casually. I'm like, did you just forget that you just cleaned a bathroom covered all over in fucking blood? I just thought that was a weird moment. Just, they didn't act how I think they should have acted, and if there's a noise going on, it's because my neighbor is running his fucking lawnmower, so sorry about that. And as for the other kids, Jeremy Ray Taylor as Ben Hanscom, I thought he did a sometimes good job. There were a few awkward moments, mainly because I feel like we didn't get enough character development with him, but he still had a lot of fun moments, and the scenes where he's nervous around Bev and scenes where his crush is a little more than obvious are kind of sweet in a way, and I guess he's likable, but there's not a ton of development as far as who I think he is, who he's supposed to be, and I just had a hard time understanding or really seeing much to go on with this kid. And my least favorite character was Eddie Kasprack, played by Jack Dylan Grazer. I know he's a kid, but god fucking damn is this kid annoying. I mean, he just has the whiniest voice, and he has some good scenes, but the scenes where he's screaming or getting upset are really they just got on my nerves. And I know everybody's saying that that's how kids are, and well, just because it's how kids actually are does not mean it's not annoying. It just got really fucking annoyed. And Wyatt Oliff as Stan Uris. He was a bit whiny, but along with Richie, he was like Stan and Richie, I guess, are some of the more cowardly members of this group, and ironically, they are I think the smartest. Like, Richie's my favorite because even though he's acting a little cowardly and showing his fear a lot, I do think he and Stan, despite their cowardness, are actually the smarter ones of the group. Everyone else is acting all brave and just want to fight this fucking clown, but they're just acting like all want to jump right in and kick some fucking ass. I'll just say this, bravery is no excuse for stupidity. It doesn't erase the fact that you're being a fucking dumbass. Which is what some of these kids are in regards to how they want to go against this clown, and the way they come to understanding the clown and figuring out how to stop it seems a bit rushed to me, and just seems like it... I almost forget almost kind of how they figured it out. I think it had to do with reading Derry's history, Derry, Maine, where the story takes place, and chosen Jacobs as Mike Hanlon. I don't have much to say about this kid, just... he comes in rather late, just like how Mike is the last kid to come in the original story. But this kid doesn't have much personality, and I can't think of one memorable thing about him. And I heard someone say in an earlier review that he was just kind of the token black kid of this film, and yeah, pretty much. In the book, there was a much delved into theme of him being the victim of some racist bullying by the town bully, Henry Bowers. And there are some scenes here of Henry Bowers and his gang really beating on Mike and saying shit like, "Move out of town! You should have moved." And I get the feeling maybe there's a little bit of racism supposed to be there coming from the Henry character, but it's never delved into. I've seen this happen with some stories where the theme of a character being black is there and dealing with a little racism, but they don't develop the racism aspect of the story to the point where it could be just rubbed off as regular bullying and just doesn't leave any impact or doesn't seem like it means anything. And oh my god, some people who have not liked this movie have really shit on Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise, and while I do think he's not that good, but I think he has the physical look for Pennywise, but I don't think he has the personality. Like, Pennywise, if I had to compare him to another movie monster, it would probably be Freddy Krueger, but Bill Skarsgård, he strikes me more as a Jason-type horror character. And the way he talks and acts, it's just too goofy. It's not scary, and there's a scene near the end where Pennywise tries to scare Bev by putting on kind of a circus show, and it's at that point that I just looked away, because I could not take that seriously at all. But the absolute worst character and actor in this film would have to be Nicholas Hamilton as Henry Bowers. There are other bullies and actors playing them, but they're very small. Henry Bowers and this other kid named, Patrick Hockstetter, they're the only bullies that really get anything that's memorable, but even then, they're extremely one-dimensional, and watching the bullies in this film, I thought, wow, I did not think the bullies from It could get even more one-dimensional than the miniseries, but somehow they managed it. The kids are just evil, mean, and the actors playing them, they're just screaming and shrieking their lines, and they're over the top. they almost feel like the bullies from Rob Zombie's Halloween, which were so stupid. And like the bullies in Rob Zombie's Halloween, these bullies are so over the top. I can't even hate them because they're just so ridiculous and have so little character. The only scene with the Henry Bowers character that I thought was good, that I honestly think was very well made, was the scene where Henry Bowers kills his abusive father. Spoilers. I thought that was a very well done scene, and if you showed that scene on its own out of context, I think a lot of people would think it was good on its own without knowing everything going on. But other than that, there was just nothing to the Henry Bowers character that was really sticking out to me. That not even the rock fight. I just couldn't get into it. I know I'm coming off as very negative, but let me say again, I did not hate this movie. I just thought it was a bit of a mess, and hopefully if that sequel gets made, it will be much better put together. Hopefully it will go with a more coherent tone. And if I had to give this movie a rating, because the jump scares that worked really fucking worked, and something that I really liked about the movie, despite all of its flaws, was how they did not hold back on the violence and the profanity. Like, it was cool to have a movie where a bunch of kids swore again, even if it did seem a little goofy at times. And the gore effects were actually pretty flinching. There is a bit of CGI going on, and well, it does hurt a few times, particularly with this monster character with a squeezed head. It did not deter from the fact that this movie did have some balls at times by the way they killed some of these kids off, by the way these kids get hurt, and the film got pretty dark in certain areas, like with Beverly and her father, who in this film, like from pretty much his first scene, like it never goes into a graphic area, but it's pretty much stated through like body language and the way he acts that this guy is molesting his daughter. And the scene where Beverly cuts her hair was extremely well done. Like, her dad touches her hair, which is long, and says, "Are you still my little girl?" And she starts cutting her hair and crying as she does it, and I thought this was an extremely well done scene because this relates to a thing that happens with a lot of people who are victims of sexual abuse that I've heard of, where they will do stuff that they hope makes them seem unattractive in the hopes that nobody will want to abuse them in that way. I thought that was a very good scene, very powerful. With all the pros and cons I have with this movie, if I had to give it a rating, I would give it probably, on the 1 out of 10 scale, maybe a 5.5, and on the 5-star scale, probably 2 out of 5. I didn't think it was great, but I didn't think it was the worst either. A lot of people have loved this, and despite me not really getting into it, I can kind of see why. Like, I can see that with some movies I don't like, and I hope people who see it do like it. And hope the next movie is more my flavor, and hope this week and a half late review on the new It was worth your time, and if you're interested, then please check out the main review show on my channel, JMC Reviews. I also have 2 smaller review shows called Mini Reviews and Old School Trailer Hounds. And I don't know if I'll do another one of these fresh from the theater reviews again soon, but I am interested in doing more, and please leave a comment down below if you have any thoughts.